All right. So in that last video, we talked about what short form copy is, the purpose of it. We know that it's to grab someone's attention on some platform like an email or social media, grab their attention, build some curiosity and desire, and then send them to go consume some information, go be sold to, or do something in another location, right? It's to grab attention from here and move it to here, right? And today I'm going to be talking about the DIC framework, which is a framework. It's a skeleton. It's like a series of steps you can follow to create high curiosity short form copy. So emails, Facebook ads, social media posts, stuff like that create a lot of curiosity and get people to go take action, right? It's a good framework. It's a really powerful one. It's the foundation. It's the one you should know how to use better than anyone else, right? Now, the DIC framework, again, it's all about grabbing their attention and building massive intrigue and then directing the reader to click. It's just a simple, it's the meat and potatoes of short form copy. Now, there are three main sections. The first one is disrupt. The second one is intrigue. And the last one is click. These are the three steps you take the reader through: disrupt, intrigue, click, DIC. Let's break down the first one, disrupt. So this is the part where you catch their attention, right? They're out there cruising through their email. They're out there going through social media. They get a notification on their phone or something. You need to catch their attention with the first little part of it, right? If your copy format has images, so if you're writing for like a social media post or like a paid ad or something like that, then you're going to want to use a disruptive attention grabbing image as part of the disrupt section. That's like the first thing they're going to see and pay attention to. You got to make sure that thing makes them stop and pay attention, right? Like they're looking out of the savannah and something new and different happens, right? Because that's how we pay attention. Like, oh no, is that a antelope or a tiger? Like you want that same effect to happen when they come across your short form copy. That first section, the first thing they see, whether that's an image for an ad or like, for example, so a subject line for an email, you want to make sure that first thing, it's different enough from everything else they see on their feed or their inbox that stands out and their attention is drawn to it, right? So you want a disruptive attention grabbing image as part of the disrupt. If you're using something that has images, and again, if you're writing an email, then the subject line is part of the disrupt section. That's the first thing they see. You got to catch their attention. You got to think pattern interrupt. Like you got to break. They're in kind of a pattern. They're in kind of a rhythm. You want something that, all of a sudden changes and breaks the pattern and shocks them a little bit, right? The disrupt section also is sort of those first few lines of the actual copy itself. So when you open the email, it's the first couple lines. That's also part of the disrupt section. When you start reading the text inside of a Facebook ad, like that primary text, or the text inside of a social media post, the first couple lines, you're gonna have to re-disrupt them and re-grab their attention again and continue to talk to them. Those first few lines are included, right? By the time the reader gets to the end of that disrupt section, they should be paying attention, right? They should be focused on your thing. They should be ignoring everything else, and they should be interested in reading and learning more, right? And then you move into the intrigue section. So once you get to the intrigue section, chances are that like in that disrupt section, you instill a little bit of curiosity and intrigue. There's already a little bit of intrigue and curiosity in the back of their mind. The intrigue section is where you start to amplify and stack on that intrigue and curiosity so that the reader can't help but take action, right? You're going to add multiple fascination points. You're going to add multiple not statements. You're going to create unanswered questions, all that kind of stuff. You're going to pull out all of your tools of curiosity and intrigue to bear and stack them around this idea that you're teasing inside of your DIC email or short form copy, so that the reader should be yours. By the time they get to the end, they should have that low grade anxiety, that little splinter in their brain, making them want to find the answer, right? And you take that anxiety and then you direct that into the click. You take that curiosity and direct it towards the click. You just direct them to take action, right? You say, hey, if you want to know the answer, click this link to discover blah, 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 right? The simplest click section is just a single line with a CTA, right? A call to action. That's what CTA stands for. It's call to action. So whenever you have copy, like say you have an email, the link at the bottom, that's the call to action. You're calling, telling the reader, say, hey, take this action, right? If it's a Facebook ad, there's that button to learn more. That's the call to action. Anytime you ask the reader to do something, that little section is called the CTA or the call to action. Just a little marketing term for you there. But a good CTA and short form copy and a DIC copy contains really all three elements of DIC all in one, right? It should be enough to get the reader to click the link all by themselves, right? So a lot of people aren't going to read your entire copy. They might just, for example, if it's an email, they might open the email and scroll to the very bottom and read the CTA and decide right then and there if they're going to actually click, right? So a good CTA is going to have some disruption. It's going to talk about something they care about, an opportunity or threat, and it's going to have some curiosity elements there to build that little curiosity, that anxiety, and then it's going to tell them to click or take action, right? It should have all of that in one single line so that if someone opens the copy, scrolls to the bottom, they can just take action based on that, right? You also want to make sure that your CTA, that click section, doesn't reveal the answer to the secret you've been teasing in the intrigue section. You've been building up a lot of curiosity. You've been playing like 20 questions, but you've answered 18, and there's only 2 more, and they're really curious about it. You shouldn't tell them what it is in the actual CTA, right? Like let's say you're teasing some information about losing weight, and you've added a bunch of fascinations, some not statements, not keto, not this, not that. And then you get to the CTA, if you say click here to join the course and buy the blah blah blah, then you kind of ruin the spell. You've told them that they're going to find a course on the other side of this, and they're just not going to be interested, right? You're going to want to keep the illusion alive, or the mystery alive, and make sure that all the answers are on the other side of the link. So to say, they're on that page they're going to visit once they click the link or take that action, right? As a bonus, you can add a PS section at the end of your DIC copy to drop even more intrigue on the reader or amplify their pain or desire, right? So you do the whole email, you give them the CTA and blah, blah, blah signature, and then you can do a PS, and then you got an additional fascination point or amplify the pain or desire with a single line or two to just sort of stack on top of it, because that kind of can amplify the experience. You don't have to always do it, but it's something to keep in mind. DIC based short form copy works really well when you're talking to cold traffic, right? So you're going to use this format when you're talking to people who have no idea who your company is. This is a great way to get them to step into your world and learn more about it. It's also really good if you're teasing something that your customer doesn't already know about, right? If they're super familiar with a course or a product, it's hard to tease it because they already know the answer to the riddle. So there's other formats that are really good for that. But this is really good initially start building some curiosity and get people who haven't heard about your brand or haven't heard about your products to come in and be interested in it, right? You can also use this format to get readers to consume free content like YouTube videos, blog posts, podcast episodes, etc. Right? So as you're working with businesses, or as you have an audience and you want them to go consume different pieces of content to help mold their beliefs and provide value to them, you can use DIC to do this. You tease them, get them all interested and curious about it, and then send them the link to go consume that video. It'll help increase your views and the engagement around that stuff quite a bit if you use the DIC format. And yeah, let's look at some examples that I put together of short form DIC copy, right? So this is a document. It might be better. There might be some more of it, but I'm going to show you this example of some DIC copy. The disrupt section is in yellow, the intrigue is in blue, and the click is in green. So here's an example of an email. This is one I wrote to my student list. So I've got an email list. I send example copy out to students. You don't have to buy anything from it. It's just like as an example, so you guys kind of feel for what it's like. So the subject line was Tate's big secret, right? And then here's part of the disrupt part. Like there's a reason Tate is the kind of superior man he is. I started to tease a little bit, but I've connected it to this desire, like to be like Tate, for example, which a lot of HU2 students want to be, right? They want to become a superior type of man. So that's the disrupt. Intrigue right here is it's not genetics, it's not raw IQ, and it's not luck. This is traditional not statements. We're teasing behind this sort of big secret, this thing. We've told them what it's not, so they now are curious. He used a very specific, hyper-powerful mental model to propel him from obscurity to irrefutable greatness. And that's like just a curiosity bullet. Tate quietly teaches the serious men who ask. Click here if you want to be let in on Tate's big secret. Simple CTA, simple call to action. This is not a very long email. This is a very short email. DIC doesn't have to be long. I recommend that most short form copy stays under 150 words. But here's just a simple example of an email that drove an insane amount of engagement when I sent out to the students, right? DIC. Let's take a look at the Facebook ad. Now I created a Facebook ad. I didn't run it, but it's basically the same copy. But this is just so you can show how it works, right? The image is part of the disrupt section, right? This is the first thing that they're going to see. So it's Tate, big bold letters, red thing, arrow, and still some curiosity. It's going to stop the scroll. There's this other part of the disrupt, which is the first line here. There is a reason Tate is the kind of superior man he is. I put an emoji, the down arrow. Emojis are cool for disrupt as well. You can use them in subject lines. This is part of it. There's a little bit with the headline, but this will stop the scroll, right? The primary text is really where the intrigue happens. And again, it's the same copy as the email. This is just so you see how it works across different formats. So once you expand the ad, you can read, it's not genetics, not raw IQ, blah, 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 the same stuff. And then the last part here, the last part of the primary text plus this section right here, this is the CTA, the call to action, the click section. Click the button below if you want to be let on Tate's big secret, discover Tate's secret to success, learn more. That's the CTA, it's the call to action, it's the click section, right? Here's this as an Instagram post. I did this for like 3 seconds. I don't think anybody saw it, which is cool, but I just did as an example. Same thing, right? Image is the disrupt. The first line there is part of the disrupt. The text is the intrigue, and then the call to action, usually on like an Instagram post, is to go click a link in the bio or whatever. But again, this is kind of how it looks over 3 different formats. You can kind of take this information and extrapolate across any other format you're in. If you're in a tweet, you can kind of know how to do it now. You know what's going to be the disrupt, what's going to be the intrigue, and where the click's going to happen. It doesn't really matter what platform. A video, even you can use the same format: disrupt, intrigue, click, just with the words that you're saying. You can take this framework and apply it to all sorts of media, as long as you understand what the part is we're going to grab their attention, where you stack curiosity, and then how you direct someone to take action. These are some examples you can look at, though, to see how it looks, how it feels for the DIC format. Again, this is a powerful one. You'll use this for a lot of the writing that you do. So just keep that in mind. Use these examples as you're learning how to write DIC emails and DIC short form copy, because it's a powerful format. You'll use it a lot as a copywriter.